This is First Contact, Stories of the Call Center.
So let's say we remove the word illegal from robocalls and just say the shorthand when people say, oh, robocalls equals bad. So if tomorrow all robocalls stopped, what kind of calls that people actually want or need would actually go away and they wouldn't realize those are deemed robocalls? You got any examples?
First off of top of my mind are the appointment reminders. In fact, even during this time with the COVID communications, there are COVID tracking calls that are important to find out who's had testing. How do we get you the results of your testing? Those are important calls that could absolutely be blocked. And then now we have a situation where blocking those types of calls causes harm, far greater harm than an unwanted call to consumers. And that's always my fear, is that unfortunately, consumers are not aware that there are certain calls that are important to their life and safety. But because they thought, well, I just don't want to receive robocalls, they end up blocking all of those calls. Another important call might be the call that you get from some stranger who happens to come across a car accident that your child was in, and they're going to call you. If you are using the Apple feature to just shut off anybody who's not in your contacts, you will not get that phone call. That's not a risk I think consumers should take. And they should be able to demand something a little bit better than that.
So I think some common ones to add to that, right? Or, for my daughter, especially when she's at school, is the school reminders that come out or notifications that come from the schools, your utilities, whenever there's going to be a planned outage or something like that, that you have voices to channel, your reminders maybe for your prescriptions, like you said, appointment reminders. There's a lot of messages, informational, that get sent out to people in mass amounts to be able to notify them of something, right? Or to notify them something will happen. And we may just not be bucketing those. It's like, oh, no, of course, I want those. But those are the ones that it's not easy, like you said, to differentiate the bad actor, good actor, because they don't know who's actually making those calls and they can't trust who is the entity that actually is making calls with those numbers. So hopefully with the work you're doing and in conjunction with the frameworks with Stir Shaken, the idea is to allow call originators to have more trust associated to their calls, right? So when we look at that, I know there are some specific things that happen in this space when we talk about legal versus illegal robocalls, and I think that's the challenge, right? It's very difficult to define what's legal and what's not legal through these in particular frameworks, and I think you stated that well.